Well, good morning. It is March the 25th, Wednesday morning, and I want to read the last little bit of Ephesians 6. I'm going to start with verse 18, read through verse 20, then get into it a little bit of some interesting stuff. With all prayer and petition, pray at all times in the Spirit, and with this in view, be on the alert with all perseverance and petition for all the saints, and pray on my behalf, that utterance may be given to me in the opening of my mouth, to make known with boldness the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in proclaiming it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. Paul's writing this to the church in Ephesus, and it's interesting because this is what follows right after the entire discussion on the armor of God. And we tend to separate those out. And the only reason I didn't read the 7 verses or 8 verses that come before it is time-wise, because I always want this to try and stay a little bit shorter. But the interesting thing is that once we've put on the armor of God, once we have the understanding that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers, the rulers, the forces of the darkness, the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. Once we understand that and we put on the full armor of God, then with all prayer and petition, pray at all times in the Spirit. In other words, if you're not in the Word, if you are not shodding your feet with the preparation of the gospel, if you don't have the breastplate of righteousness, or if you don't have the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, if you're not using those on a daily basis, it's going to be more increasingly difficult to go to the Lord in prayer, because you're going to be too busy fighting things in a fleshly way instead of in a spiritual way. I think that's one of the things that we have to understand. We like to think that because we're in this period of quarantine, we don't have the same potential struggles because we're not out in the world. We don't have to worry about drivers cutting us off. We don't have to worry about people necessarily at the office making us angry. We don't have to worry about so many of the things that upset us. And yet, here Paul is very clear. Our struggle is not against the flesh and blood. It's not against the things that maybe we come into contact with. The battle is spiritual. And that battle rages no matter where you're at, whether it be under normal circumstances or when you're more stuck at home. That's what I want to impress upon all of us this morning, is that our battle is a spiritual battle. When you're a Christian, you are in spiritual warfare, and therefore you must at all times be praying to the Lord. You must at all times be in His Word. Otherwise, you're not prepared for the battle that's raging around you. He says all this that he may have boldness to proclaim the mystery of the gospel. I pray that we will all have that. That boldness, that when we do speak to one another on the phone, when we do get on social media, that we don't back away, that we are still being the Christians we need to be. I think now more than ever, the world needs to see the church acting like the church. And one way we do that is to be praying at all times in the Spirit. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, tonight we start our verse-by-verse study of Hebrews, 6:30. I'll probably log on 5 or 8 minutes early so that we can start getting people in the watch party for the live broadcast, and we can also get some prayer requests. So take care, and we'll see you later.